Our next unit standard is 13931. Monitor and control the maintenance of office equipment. It's on page 26 of your manuals. Remember, we've previously have stated all the office resources that we've got, office equipment. We spoke of telephones, photocopying machines, and all that. Now, on page 27, 3.1, the importance of routine equipment maintenance. What do we mean by routine equipment maintenance? Once you are comfortable with all the equipment in your office, you need to be able to keep the equipment clean and in good working order, and you must be able to do basic troubleshooting. In the interest of the smooth running of the business and high productivity, equipment should not break down and cause disruptions. Personnel responsible for the routine maintenance of office equipment must be appointed by who? Management. Every office machine has an operating manual which explains how the machine works and what regular maintenance should be done on the machine. The operating manual also specifies which procedures may be undertaken by the suppliers of the equipment only. There's usually a clear statement that the warranty lapses if unauthorized maintenance or repairs have been carried out. These manuals, along with the contact details of the service provider for every machine, must be kept in an accessible central location, or otherwise each machine's manual must be near the machine. Everyone in the office must be able to get hold of this information. Now, what are you expected to do in the office regarding your machines? Remember, you are not expected to do the work that is supposed to be done by the technician, even if you know what needs to be done. If it is clearly stated in the warranty or in any agreement that your company has got with the supplier, do not do it, even if you know what could be wrong there. Because should you do it and something breaks or something goes wrong, they will come and the warranty will lapse. Okay. Machine costs a lot of money, and therefore we need to look after them. If we take good care of our machines, we'll save money for the company and ensure a high profitability so that we can get what, Zanele? Bonuses. In an office, if an office has no maintenance standards, or if the maintenance plan is not properly implemented, staff may be unable to do their work because of non-functioning equipment. Now, this is very true. The importance of having well-functioning office machines and equipment must not be underestimated. It can have a positive effect on the image, productivity, and profitability of a business. Part of keeping equipment in good working order is to ensure that certain safety principles are in place. Now imagine if, for instance, with us, if our machine breaks, we've got classes you guys are group 44. This means between June last year and now, we've had 44 groups. You guys are group 44. There is group 45, and sorry, I've got group 40 secunda. My secunda class is group 46. So this means we've got plus minus 40 groups running at this time, and all our printing happens here. If our printer does not function in that week, it would cause so much backlog. So much backlog. You must see how Vanessa turns maroon, not even red. She turns maroon if the printer breaks and the technician is not here in time. Our agreement with our supplier for the printing machine is that if there's a fault and they get call out, they call out the turnaround time between the time she calls, he places the call, and the time the technician gets here is an hour. 1 hour. If the technician is not here in an hour, it's a complaint to the supplier. Because if her printing gets delayed by anything more than an hour, then she's screwed for the whole week. Okay, so we need to be careful of such things. It does happen. That this is a true reflection of what we go through. If our machine in any given day breaks and the technician does not come out within the hour, then Vanessa's schedule is already way out. This means she's going to have to come in on a Saturday to complete the work. Because we have facilitators that come on a Friday and they come and take their material for the whole week because their classes are not here. And then we have those that will come on a Monday and take for the rest of the week because their classes are not here. So if she didn't do all her printing for the next week by Friday, that means on Saturday she has to come in. Okay, so some of the machines are really the heart of the business, né? And that's what keeps us running. Now, safety principles. It is important that a high standard of safety is maintained when working with equipment in the office, especially electrical equipment. The following are some of the most important principles to be aware of. Ne? When servicing, when a machine is due for maintenance work or servicing, you must inform everybody who uses that machine before commencement of the maintenance work. Office work must be reorganized so as to have the least negative effect on production. If possible, maintenance and service times must be organized to fall outside the peak production period. Some suppliers provide substitute machines free of charge on loan to businesses while technicians are carrying out maintenance or service work. Now, with our suppliers, that if they're coming to do major service on our machines, what they do is they'll tell us in advance to say, okay, in a week's time, we're coming and the machine will not be functional for 2 days. Or they'll say, we'll provide you with printing facilities while we are busy working on your machine. That is only on scheduled services or on according to the agreement that we have with them. Ne? Now, the best practices. We've got the right and the wrong ones there. Or the cautious standard safety measures for routine maintenance, which are those there. Train all users in safety precautions. This is what you need to do. Everyone that uses a machine must be trained on how to safely use that machine. Do not eat, drink, or smoke when operating equipment. Install equipment according to manufacturer's specification. Now, with us, with our photocopy machines, if any of we've got codes, so you put a code and then you start doing your copies or whatever. If any of your work was found that you did not take out the staples in there, you will pay for any damages that happen in the machine, because it clearly states, make sure that you remove staples from documents before copying, because they scratch something in there and it's a big problem. Okay, so training is important. Everybody needs to be trained. Everybody that's going to use that machine needs to be trained on safety precautions and on any other specifications that the manufacturer will specify. Ne? Install equipment according to manufacturer specifications. Disconnect electricity supply when moving equipment. Keep work areas tidy and clean. Tie back or tape down loose electrical cable away from foot traffic. Report faults and problems that cannot be fixed by an employee. Operate machine correctly according to the instruction manual, including the troubleshooting section. Call in the service technician or the services of a technician when required. Do not have water in close proximity to any electrical. Discard hazardous and ordinary waste safely at the appropriate facilities. Okay, Remember that it is not only the machine that must be maintained by the but the machine's consumables must also be replenished when it is finished to ensure that work can continue. Such consumables could include printer cartridges, paper, toner, staplers, and ring binders. How many times have you printed something in the machine and then you go there 3 times and it's still not out, and then only by the time you go for the 4th time you realize there's no paper? It happens there. So we all need, it should be, if there is no one who is specifically assigned to make sure that consumables are always replenished, then it is everybody's responsibility. Ne? Routine maintenance is described in the operating manuals of every machine, together with the safety measures which must be followed in each case. Standard safety measures for routine maintenance are: do not operate faulty or damaged equipment, disconnect machine from power supply, follow instructions in the manual, use only recommended and compatible refills and replacement parts. When maintenance has been completed, replace everything as before. Replace machine securely in its original position and switch on power supply. Some ink cartridges and laser jet cartridges can be refilled or reused. Dispose of all waste materials in accordance with your company's policies in this regard. Report any faults detected that must be seen by a technician. Keep a log of routine maintenance that has been done. So this means that routine maintenance, some of it can be done in-house, but you need to keep a log so that when the supplier comes, you show them exactly what you did at what time. Ne? Now, types of maintenance strategies. We've got reactive maintenance, preventative maintenance, predictive maintenance, as well as proactive maintenance. Right. Reactive maintenance. Equipment is only repaired when it breaks. This is what we mean when we speak of reactive maintenance. This is when equipment is only repaired when it breaks. This is appropriate for equipment parts that cannot be repaired or replaced before it breaks or before it runs out. For instance, a light bulb or a laser cartridge. The only time you can replace that is if it breaks or if it runs out. Ne? The second one is preventative maintenance. Equipment is serviced and parts are subject to normal wear and replaced at regular intervals. For instance, like if some machines are like your car, where at 30,000 Ks you need to take it in for servicing, at 60 you need to take it in at 90 and so forth, isn't it? So some machines will say, after some photocopy machines will say, after making 10,000 copies on that machine, then it needs to be serviced. And you will have an agreement with the supplier where the supplier will call in and they will want you to have the reading. They would ask you, there's a way that they will tell you, do this on the machine, and it will give you a reading of how many copies it has done since the last date that it was serviced. Okay. Then they'll tell you, at this point, we will need to come out and do servicing on that machine. Ne? So that will be preventative maintenance. This helps because at that point, that means that sort of almost guarantees that you'll never have downtime. Because you know, at this point, I need to do this, then you will schedule your work according to that. Ne? Then predictive maintenance. This maintenance is planned according to when parts are likely to be worn out. Like the name says, predictive. You're sort of predicting, okay, if I've done this, by this time it will be that. Ne? The object is to replace worn parts before they are completely worn out and the equipment fails. Replacing worn out parts timelessly helps to prevent unexpected failure of equipment and sometimes collateral damage. What do we mean by collateral damage? What do we mean by collateral damage?
Because you didn't do A, cost B.
Yeah. Or if a certain part if a certain part breaks, it could affect other parts and they could be dysfunctional as well. Okay, so that is collateral damage. Ne? And then we have proactive maintenance. The root causes of recurring failures are found and then they are eliminated. Thus, random breakdowns of equipment are minimized, the life of the equipment is prolonged, and collateral damage is prevented. Best practice: the critical areas where office equipment is used to produce the organization's livelihood, as well as areas that affect the organization's reputation, must be identified. Equipment that affects these areas must be maintained as well as possible, with the emphasis on the prevention of breakdowns. The mix of the 4 maintenance strategies will largely depend on the nature of an organization's business activity. For instance, if you're a hospital and you've got a buffing machine, we know that most hospitals will never go without a buffing machine. They actually buff their floors almost every day. So they would have to have a good standing with the suppliers of their buffing machine, and they would have to have a good maintenance plan on that buffing machine. Because chances are, if that buffing machine breaks, you know how those hospital floors can get? Do you know how they can get? Yeah. If those floors are not buffed, you should, and then you get Clive Whittle having a meltdown because the hospital is having this and their machine was in for servicing at whatever, and now they're calling service and service still is not delivering back the machine, and their floors are this and that, and then Clive melts. Ne? It's because of things like that. They cannot afford to have to go a day without that certain equipment. Ne? Okay. Any questions so far? Now what do we do? Because like we said, these are man-made. Something can happen. So this is where we start having agreements with the suppliers. Maintenance providers on page 30. A reliable and competent maintenance provider for office machinery and equipment is indispensable. The suppliers or manufacturers of the equipment often provide technical and after-sales services or recommend designated providers. A file containing the contact details of these service providers is essential to have. A sticker with the appropriate contact details can be attached to each machine. The file must contain the following information in respect to each machine: the phone numbers of the maintenance providers during office hours, after hours, as well as weekends. Name and cell phone number of technicians, their physical addresses, email addresses. The file must also have the names and particulars of alternate providers in case the usual provider is not available. Okay. Now, once you buy certain equipment or machines, you need to have agreements with the supplier, or you'll find yourself having bought this machine that it occupies space and it's a whole lump of nothing sitting in your office, ne? Because now you can't use it, you can't call out anyone. Right, maintenance agreement. When buying or leasing office equipment, a maintenance agreement is sometimes included in the deal. If not, a separate maintenance agreement can be entered into to ensure regular and ongoing maintenance services. The following should be specified in the maintenance agreement: the cost of each service rendered, which machines are covered and how each is to be identified, descriptions and frequency of services to be rendered, duration of contract, who bears the cost of replacement parts, emergency and after hours call outs, liability for loss or damage, upgrades and software, whose premises services are to be rendered at, ours or theirs, and who's paying for transportation costs. Insurance during transport, whether training of staff is included with particulars of of exactly what is included, procedure to be followed when services are required. If you are responsible for maintenance of office equipment, make sure that you know the terms and conditions of the contract. The maintenance agreement should be filed in an accessible place for easy referencing. Once a maintenance contract has been entered into, it should be easy to contact the maintenance provider who has been contracted in when services are needed. The same provider can be used to fix machines that are not specified in the maintenance agreement, or a different provider can be chosen from the maintenance file. Providers can be contacted by making a phone call or sending an email. If providers do shoddy or unsatisfactory work, report it to management immediately. If providers are slow to respond or do not respond at all, again, report this to management without delay. If you're responsible for maintenance and you notice a problem with machine, report it to the responsible person immediately. Now, on page 31, carrying out routine maintenance. Remember, routine maintenance, we said it's that we can do in-house most of the time, ne? Remember, you should carry out routine maintenance work at the intervals prescribed by the manufacturer according to the manual. Routine maintenance will include dusting and cleaning equipment, refilling or replacing toner cartridges, taking care of toner waste disposal, and clearing paper gems. Okay, all the following on page 31, all those machines should also always be inspected, ne? So that you would see if they need routine maintenance or not. Be aware of the dangers when you do routine maintenance. For instance, if you are, if your machine says it has a paper jam, and then you see that it keeps having a paper jam after every 10th copy, then you can say that, okay, this is a problem. Okay, it's not just the once-off paper jam. This is a problem. If after every 10th copy, then it has a paper jam, then something is wrong, ne? Then you report that immediately. Any questions? Huh? No questions? Okay, let's go on to our formatives. Formative activity number 2. 2.1. List 3 types of office equipment that will need maintenance. 3 types of office equipment that will need maintenance. 2.2, what does routine maintenance on office equipment include? Remember, we said routine maintenance is the one that we can do in-house, ne? What does maintenance material include? Ne? Okay, let's complete that part of our formative assessment.